Friends, I am on a divine mission, and failure is not an option. See, right up until this point, my husband and I were living the Washingtonian dream. Two happy lawyers in love, two separate incomes, and our only child was born, this absolutely exquisite baby boy. Until, at about 2 years old, he was diagnosed with profound and incurable autism, and then everything fell apart. I went from being this proud, independent attorney to a truly desperate housewife who left her job and spent over 40 hours a week on my hands and knees putting up all of these flashcards. But the one part of that original dream that I am not going to let go of is the promise of having just one more healthy baby. But to be honest, my son Zach is about to turn 5 years old, and I have spent more than 2 years desperately trying to get pregnant, and nothing is happening. And look, I'm no spring chicken. I am a very stressed out 37-year-old woman, and my ovaries are clanging like a Tibetan gong. You are almost out of time. Oh my God, I have got to get out of this town because let's be honest, we all know that the DMV is a stimulating and respectable area, but not necessarily the most arousing one, if you get my drift. I am on a mission to get it on with consequences. So that means these girls, these ovaries, are going to need an entirely different faraway venue. Now, fortunately, my husband completely agreed, and he came to me, always the planner and organizer, and he said, Whitney, you are going to love this. I have mapped it out. I have scheduled for our next ovulating weekend. We are going to fly out of town, and we are going to go to your very favorite city in the entire world. That's right, New Orleans, Louisiana. Oh yeah, brother, I hear you. The big easy. So we get out of town, we get on the plane, and we show up at the hotel, and my husband is beaming with pride. Because the thing you need to know about my husband is that he's from Potomac, Maryland. And for those of you who don't know the area, it's kind of like one big, lovely, slow-moving J. Crew ad. He was born and raised there. He is a good, solid citizen. He is a buttoned-up, conservative attorney. I have no idea what area he practices, and I never want to know because it's all transactional and it's all numbers. But he has done right by us here, and it's actually not all that surprising that when we land and we go to the hotel, he's already starting to get a little bit aroused. Because let's face it, this is a 5-star hotel. We are on the top floor. There's room service. And he looks at me and he loosens his tie and he says, all right, sweetheart, you getting ready? You feeling it? Well, no, actually, because I'm a little bit different. You see, it takes a little bit more than these beautiful, opulent surroundings to get me, could we put headphones on that minor girl? Wet. I wasn't always a mommy. And I look at him and I say, you know what? I've got a great idea. What do you say we start walking around the red light district? Now, for those of you who haven't been, clearly you have, there are a few select streets in the red light district, and the only thing there are bars and brothels and clubs and jazz and voodoo. This is a corridor of sin. And that is exactly what this desperate housewife needs to shake off the stress of the last few years. And my husband looks a little concerned, and he says, well, yeah, it's a long flight. We can stretch our legs. We can walk around the district. I said, that's great. Let's do that. So we start walking around, and lo and behold, I point out to him, hey, honey, look at that. There's a strip club right over here. What do you say we go in? And he looks, and he's a little concerned. He said, seriously? I said, yeah, come on. Let's just go for a little bit. It'll just put us in the mood. Let's jumpstart things a little bit. I was confused. And I said, well, all right, okay. Well, we can go in just for a little while before we go back to the hotel. Absolutely. And we go in there, and I'm not wasting any time. I've got a mission. So I go, and I sit us down at a table right in front of the action. And oh, this is good. There are dancers, and they are swinging and moving, and there is one in particular who catches my eye. Her name is Crystal, and she has long, gorgeous blonde hair and big blue eyes, and she is topless, and I am starting to relax. But then, all of a sudden, I have this little crisis of confidence, and I turn to my husband, and I say in a voice far too low for anyone to hear, no one would ever pay me to strip. He says, oh, honey. And all of a sudden, it defied physics. Crystal stops dancing, and in the midst of all the chaos and all the noise and all the music, she makes direct eye contact with me and says, well, of course they would, sugar. Why don't you come on up here on stage with me? Really? I mean, friends, I am a former U.S. DOJ attorney, is what's playing out in my mind, but my legs are climbing the stairs to the stage, and the next thing I know, I'm kind of swinging. Oh, yes, I'm kind of moving with Crystal, and now Potomac is getting a little bit upset. And he looks up and he says, wait, Whitney, what exactly are you doing? Well, I'm just warming up the oven, sugar. Don't you worry about that one bit. And Crystal and I are laughing. And she understands, and he says, Whitney, listen, I understand that you have been very depressed and very stressed for the past few years, but you need to remember, you are a licensed attorney. Well, not in Louisiana, I'm not. And friends, this is the release I have needed. I am moving, I am shaking, I know no one in the place. My shirt is starting to come up, my hair is starting to come down. All right, my husband is stricken completely. But as I'm moving, I'm starting to feel the woman coming back, and all those insecurities, all of that is just melting away. And I turn towards my husband and I say, your wife is back. And that poor man is completely slumped in his chair. He's got his hands over his head as if someone from his hometown of Potomac is going to suddenly walk into the strip bar and be like, oh, hey, buddy, Keith, that you? Yeah, I heard you got married. Are you serious, man? And so I'm up there and I'm moving and shaking. Let me tell you something. I got a knack for this stuff. Because the next thing I know, I'm getting tips. All sorts of random men are starting to put money in. Oh, yes. And they're putting it here, and they're putting it here, and they're trying to find my non-existent cleavage, but I am so incredibly happy. But Potomac is mortified. And he looks up and he said, Whitney, what are you doing? Why are you taking money from these random men? I said, well, we both agreed on a 2-income household. Sometimes this is what it looks like. I'm so sorry. Now remember, there is a serious imperative at stake here. The only reason that I am up on this stage swinging and dancing is for a very, very good cause. Woo! And I am swinging and moving, and all of a sudden one man looks at me and he says, Sugar, you look like you're having a good time out there. And I said, really? And you look like a man who could use a lap dance. Potomac, I understand. Potomac felt the same way. He was mortified, and he jumped up and he said, enough, hot pants, let's go. And he grabbed me and he took me down from the stage and he said, we are leaving right now. Good, because now I'm ready. And we walk outside and he's very serious and he's pulling me out and he said, we are heading back to the hotel right now. I said, no, we're in the Big Easy, here, now. Take me back behind this strip club and make me a mommy. And the poor man sat there and he looked seriously and he put his head down. I don't think he's sure he even wants me to be the mother of his children at this point. And I said, come on, honey, keep your sense of humor. We have been through so much. We need this. Let's be honest. And all those years that you've been going to strip clubs before you met me and I became your sweet little wife, didn't you ever wonder what it might be like to get it on with one of the dancers? And he looks me in the eye and he puts his head down. He looks left. He looks right. Come on. And he takes me back behind that strip bar into the alley, Mr. Potomac does, and he puts my hands up against the wall, and oh, friends, it was hot. Potomac did not disappoint. And as we sat there in the afterglow, we're both panting and we're sweating, and I'm sitting there thinking, you know what? Sure, my life is in complete shambles, but let's face it, nobody ever really enjoyed practicing law. And you know what? If this whole lawyer thing doesn't work out, I may just have another backup profession. Now, I know what you all want to know. Did it work? Well, I think you would have to ask my daughter, who a few weeks ago, my little Christmas miracle, just turned 17. Yes, my beautiful, innocent, darling Cassie, or, as was put on her birth certificate, Cassandra Louisiana Rubin. Now, I can trust y'all to keep this little secret between us, right?